Okay, so I think we have a fantastic panel out here, which is really going to talk about all about video. I mean, all of you out here would have probably heard a lot about video. I see a lot of people out here who have been talking to me about video, about all their video plans, etc., etc. But we've got the best in the business out here. We've got people who are actually, sort of working in the video space and delivering campaigns for marketers across platforms. We've got media buying agency, we've got the publisher, and of course, how can we forget the guy who keeps a tab on all of us, which is the research company Comscore, right? Great. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to start off by requesting each one of them to give a view on what they feel about about the whole video and video integration across platforms. And post the views, we'll have a quick question answer session, both within us as well as the audience. So ladies first, Judith. Judith is from ViewClip, and over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Judith Coley from ViewClip. I'm based in California, but I've just spent a wonderful 6 weeks in India itself. ViewClip is the world's largest independent mobile video company. We act as a service provider, and we deliver mobile videos to any kind of phone. One of the challenges of being based in California is that we live within a community that sees everything in terms of a multi-screen, high-end world. Most people have a television, a tablet, a phone, a second phone, another laptop, etc., etc. But the message that we're sending out is that, for the next few years, we don't think it's a conversation about the end of the feature phone. We see the world this way. We see it in three kinds of main devices. We see feature phones. We see low-end smartphones like, the Asha series, all of these amazing lower-cost smartphones that are coming on the market. And then we see high-end smartphones and phablets. I'm not sure if I like that phrase, that the PHABLETS, phablets, the joining of the tablet and the phone. So if you think of those three things the other big thing that you have to consider is the state of the network. Last Sunday I was very lucky. I went to Agra from Delhi on the new expressway, and that is an unconstrained network. There were nearly no cars on it. It was similar to a brand new 4G or a brand new 3G network. You could go anywhere, it was very fast. But those networks fill up. So the way we look at the world is that there are constrained networks, like 2G, like 3G when it's full up and it's not performing, and then there are unconstrained networks. So we take care of all of that technology. We serve 25 million videos a day to 200 countries, and our business is booming. And what we've been really excited to do is to start providing brands and marketers with ways to take advantage of this enormous video consumption that's happening in their own lives as well as through their business. I think the other thing that I'm very aware of as a marketer myself is that most marketers are confronted with a number of challenges. There are actual traffic challenges to drive traffic, and then there's driving the dollars behind the traffic, and then thirdly, and most challengingly at times, there's driving perception. And I don't know how many of you have been excuse me, I don't know how many of you have been asked to create a viral video as if you could control what was happening in the world. I'm seeing a few nods there, but if we have time today, I'd love to talk a little bit about how to have that conversation with your management about expectations for mobile video. And finally, before you close me off, one of the most exciting aspects of my job, and I'm sure the same for Google, is seeing videos live and breathe online, on mobile, and come back. We have one clip that's from the UK and has been doing the rounds since 1996. It was a clip created and it's still in the charts. It's a road safety video that someone in Latin America retitled A Message for Everybody in Spanish. So, very passionate about the topic, and I'm looking forward to your questions later.
Thank you, Judith. We're going to move to Google, of course. That's Praveen. And Praveen, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Neville. And thanks, Judith, for setting up the context. I'd like to make like 3-4 key points. And I want to start by talking about video adoption of video across platforms by the 3 key stakeholders in the ecosystem, right? So you have the users, you have the content creators, and you have the advertisers. So let's start with users. I think users have demonstrated a fairly reasonable amount of consistency in what kind of video consumption they have across devices, right? So you have TV, music, and movies forming a large chunk of consumption across television, online, and mobile, right? So there's reasonable amount of consistency. And if there is some bias in consumption, it's probably more because of supply gaps rather than demand, right? Content creators, I think, have made a tremendous amount of progress in the last couple of years on how they are distributing video across platforms, right? So, we run a video network, we run a online video company, YouTube, and we are certainly aware of the fact that 80 to 90% of the large broadcasters, Bollywood producers, music labels today distribute their content across online video and mobile, just like they're distributed on TV, right? Content creators have made a lot of progress. I think the third stakeholder, which is advertisers, also have made a lot of progress on distributing their messages on desktop. But I think there is a lot of headroom for advertisers to look at mobile video. I think Judith made that point. To give you some broad statistics, as much as 40% of views on YouTube today come from mobile, right? And as much as 25% of watch time comes from mobile, right? And very clearly, these statistics are tremendous because most of this is happening actually in the last 18 to 24 months. And because of this, I think the advertisers need to be cognizant of this and probably need to adopt to online video a lot faster. And we're doing all we can to accelerate this. I'm sure other companies in the online video space are doing as well. The second thing I want to talk about is really the incredible opportunity that now multi-screen scenario is presenting to both content creators and advertisers, right? Think about this. In a traditional single television scenario in a household, when you're watching an ad, an advertiser has no means to know whether you're engaged or passive, right? Typically in a single TV household, you don't know. Typically, you may not be watching what you really like. But as we are growing in screens, so be it a second television, a third television, or a smartphone, or a tablet, or a desktop, you're almost certain that the user is more engaged because he's watching what he really wants to watch, right? And this is a great opportunity for advertisers to actually deliver their messages in a targeted fashion, which did not exist till a while ago, right? So that's the second piece. I think along with opportunity, this sort of shift in user consumption is also presenting a big challenge, right? And the challenge is users no longer have the same kind of tolerance for mediocrity that they usually have on TV, right? I mean, they'll probably give you 3 minutes on TV. They will not give you more than 30 seconds on a smartphone. They might give you 60 seconds on a desktop, right? So clearly, you as an advertiser or a content creator need to get better at storytelling, right? So that's clearly one of the challenges that advertisers and content creators face. We are doing as much as we can to encourage the entire ecosystem to get better at storytelling. We have a product called TrueView. Most of you probably know about it, where users can actually skip videos, right? So users can skip videos, can skip advertising if they don't like it, and the advertiser does not pay if the user has actually skipped the ad, right? Which means the algorithm will not throw up ads ultimately which are not getting watched because nobody makes money, the user doesn't like it. So there
30
is
seconds.
great deal of encouragement.
30 seconds.
So there is great deal of encouragement for you to create more entertaining content. The final thing I think I'll touch upon, and Neville is at my heels, is that the world of online video is truly flat, right? So sample this: 60% of the videos watched by a user are actually uploaded uploaded in a country which is different from the user, right? So chances are if you upload a video today, it is going to be watched by people outside of the country in which it is getting uploaded, right? So that means the world is truly, truly flat. And this presents an opportunity for both content creators and global brand marketers to actually achieve distribution at scale of their messages. Think about the Gangnam Style video, right? In a few weeks, it had hundreds and millions of views, which would have been very, very hard to get on traditional television, right?
Okay, thanks, Praveen. Thanks a lot. Ganga.
Hello? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what I'll try and give you some random musings in no particular order. I'll try and put forth a practitioner's view. I work with a media agency, so we are constantly grappling with advertisers to be online, to be on video, and it is a hard sell. And I'll tell you why. We are still considered to be the cheapest TV market in the world, right? So there is no other medium that actually delivers the kind of reach that it delivers, plus at a certain cost. So advertisers who traditionally used television to build reach are a little slow in coming onto the digital bandwagon. It used to be a lot harder earlier because at that time you were comparing a TV commercial with a display ad, right? But now that we have the option of online video, those conversations are getting a lot easier. The daily challenge that we have is we are talking to a highly distracted consumer, right? As a country, we are on the prosperity curve. Our consumers are now cash rich, time strapped. There are many distractions. Just to give you a statistic, the difference between program ratings and break ratings once upon a time used to be about 15%, say about 6-7 years ago, which means that you would lose 15% of your audience during a break. Now that difference could be as high as 40-50%, which means you are not, the moment you have a long commercial, which means that you actually, the 60 seconds wasted, right? And again, the whole incidence of, appointment viewing. I haven't heard the expression appointment viewing in many years because there is no appointment viewing anymore. Because I think today, virtually, I think YouTube is the new DVR, right? So people are actually coming and watching a program later at their convenience. They are in control. They are seeking out what they want to watch. And that's a problem, and that's a huge challenge. So how are we able to actually now catch this highly distracted consumer? And that's something that we grapple with on a daily basis. Even the definition of prime time, non-prime time, I think needs an urgent revisit because the moment the consumer takes control, that is prime time, right? You might want to put it between 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. A lot of the holy cow, so to speak, as the established norms need to change. In fact, if I look at the industry research, be it TGI or be anything else, I don't think they really capture the changing consumer behavior the way they should, right? Even today, I don't think there's been too much evolution in industry tools like TGI. Likewise, the brand tracks that advertisers have. I remember in the earlier days, when there was a campaign on, there would be a question about that particular campaign in the brand track, right? But today, it's not only about advertising, right? Today, I think brands have to, a Coke to me is more than just a beverage. Coke is also about the content it makes. Red Bull is about the content it makes. I think important is increasingly, the most savvy marketers are sitting down and saying that fine, we are in a certain category, product category, but I think at the end of the day, consumers need to look for us on this medium, and which means I am the content I create, right? So I think, so therefore that's why you have a Red Bull Stratos, you have the various Coke initiatives, the TNT push for drama thing that happens, that happened in Belgium. So increasing brands are defining content strategies. So and in terms of hierarchy, we're looking at online video probably being the easiest to come because it just replicates a spot on television. But going forward, I think branded content and eventually user-generated content about the brand is really where I think all advertisers aspire to go.
Okay. Thanks, Ganga. Kedar, your view.
Yeah. So we are a research company. I won't name any brands or publishers here. But what we've been trying to track is the consumption patterns that we see in the market from various users. To give you some stats, India is already reaching about 70% of the total online or mobile audience is watching videos every month. And that number is growing very fast. If you look at 6 months back, they were spending close to 4 to 5 hours in a month on watching video, digital video, but that number has jumped up to 8 hours or 9 hours. And very soon it should cross about 12 to 15 hours, which is very much comparable to a few segments of users, the amount of time they spend in watching TV at home. For a broadcaster, we're seeing our content providers, it's becoming increasingly difficult as well as important to be able to make this content available on various devices. There has been an exponential growth in the number of devices sold because, as Barry pointed out, there has been an increase in on-the-go consumption of video, which earlier was in a traditional mode inside the household watching TV. So as more and more of these content providers create content on the go, make it available on these devices, the consumption will further fuel. From a marketeer's point of view, we see that there are certain segments of users, let's call it millennials or people, the younger audience between the age group of 15 to 34, who show a very high loyalty towards integrated video watching. So the number of these people is increasing. Any brand or marketeer who has this target audience needs to ensure or figure out how to advertise to this audience across various video platforms. What it creates for a brand advertiser is an opportunity to reach an incremental set of people. Today, that incremental set is a single-digit percentage or maybe early double digits, but also a chance to increase the frequency of exposures of your brand across various devices. We ran a couple of studies about 2-3 months back across US, India, a couple of other markets in Latin America. What we've seen is that the sales lift or the brand lift to these exposures on people who have been watching integrated video is much, much higher compared to a single channel exposure. So for marketeers, what it's creating is some sort of a surround sound effect of marketing, and it's getting more complex. It's also getting complex for us because it's not easy to measure different people across different devices and put them all together under the same bucket. But I think that's the challenge that everybody has.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Kedar. Thanks a lot. Yeah, so we've had some pretty interesting viewpoints out here. It moved from devices to surround sound, but I want to come to you because you said something very interesting. My question to you is, we're talking about video integration across television, mobile, web, etc. How has the media plan changed? Because you control everybody's money, right? So how today, what does the media plan look like?
Increasingly, I think we're moving from media planning to what we call audience planning. Okay. Because today I think it's video, it doesn't matter if he watches on television or online or on mobile. So at least the industry has started moving towards that. So when we actually present plans, we actually consider YouTube as a TV channel, right? So, and if you actually stack up all the channels, it's probably what, 7th or 8th most reach channel, so to speak. So there are many channels that an advertiser would normally take that are far smaller than YouTube. Well, YouTube is not paying me for this, but anyway, yeah. So increasingly plans are becoming video plans, which include the television component and online video as well.
So Ganga, let me tell you, I was with a client yesterday. I won't name the client, and the client said, I've told my media agency that don't come to me and sort of give me a plan which takes my television commercial across platforms. That's what they said. They said, I want them to use the various tools which allow the consumer to engage with my brand and then come up with some solution. So is there enough of advertisers there who are thinking of creating something specific for these new channels?
There are, but I don't think there are that many. I think the first, the foot in the door really is still going to be through online video, the video ads.
Okay.
Right, that's my view. And then I think the most savvy marketers will actually start creating content. In fact, the last few years, we saw this mad rush to actually get Facebook fans. People are literally buying Facebook fans, right? You would advertise and buy Facebook fans.
So my question to you is, why would you knew that buying Facebook fans, does it help?
Well, you need to be sure what you want to do with them, because
you need to advise the customer, right? So what do you advise? I mean, I have seen a customer saying, I want to buy 600 likes. What does those likes do for me?
Well, to start off, that's the wrong objective.
Exactly.
Clearly.
So do
Right.
you folks advise them?
We do, but there are some guys who have. See, I think there is a certain, like the 100 crore mark for Bollywood movies, there is a 1 million fan that most advertisers target, and that's reality. So, and to actually get to that in, say, 2 months, I think it's inevitable that you actually use Facebook ads. Now, once you have those fans, what happens next? And that is when you actually have to start creating content, because, that's how this whole metric around people talking about you, right? That's how that's how you start building that up. Otherwise, people will start blanking you off their feeds. And also, it's well known that video sparks off more interaction than text and pictures, right? So increasingly, well, not enough, but there are some advertisers. I think Airtel is a great example. I think probably Airtel is ahead of the curve, and the kind of stuff that they're doing online, in terms of video ads, in terms of their own content, is fantastic.
Yeah,
but we need more of that.
brand which has spent a lot of money in content creation, right?
Yes, absolutely.
On video.
Yeah. Airtel, from what I hear, has commissioned 500 videos for the next 1.5 to 2 years.
That's great. So I just want to move to Praveen. Praveen, you have a lot of visibility on what really is happening on the whole video explosion, as you see. What's the kind of consumption, which is happening over there? In terms of demographics, can you share something with us? As you as a publisher, what is the kind of consumption? What's the demographics which you're seeing? And even maybe, is it urban, rural? Where is it coming from? I'm just asking that question purely from a bandwidth perspective.
So I think, look, fundamentally what we've seen when, for any significant shift in user consumption, it takes marketers anywhere between 1 to 3 years to sort of catch up, right? Today, when we go and meet some of our clients for education, talking about exactly where online video is reached, pick up a number, 110 million video views a day in India, 11 crore, right? So that's not small, right? It's tremendous, and that's Kedar's data, that's not my data, right? 110 million video views a day, 40% of those coming from mobile. So, the users already moved on, guys, right? It's for the agencies and advertisers now to figure out how long they'll take to actually go on to online video. And, I'm happy to report that most of our large television advertisers have already started working with us on YouTube. Right? I think, like I pointed out in the first point I made, there is significant headroom on mobile because I think mobile is more recent and it will take a little time for people to start creating assets and start exploiting that medium. But I think web, we are reasonably happy and encouraged by the response we've got from advertisers on adoption of desktop online video as a destination. You also asked about exactly what are the demographics. So look, video demographics are not different from internet demographics, right? So I think Kedar can validate this, but more than 70% of these guys are SECAB, more than 70% are in the 15 to 34 age band. So it's a urban youth phenomenon, and that continues to be true for, I think, across online properties, right?
Okay.
So that is where it is.
Okay, so shifting gears a little bit to mobile, because I think that's very critical. You've been in the market. You've seen, number of mobile players providing services. How have you seen advertisers responding to you in terms of the kind of services that you provide? Or are they still ginger about it? Okay, let's see how this is evolving. We'll come back to you. Or just take this particular video and put it up there, that kind of stuff. So can you highlight something?
Yeah, I think what's been really exciting in the last year since we actually started building a team in India to build the relationships because because this is a new environment and a new place to work, it's really been important that there are, that there are real people to talk to. We split our advertising business into sort of two areas. One is sort of working with ad networks, which we run globally, but then in India we kind of pretty much removed the ad networks so that we could focus on working with brands. And we've had a really nice mixture of campaign successes in the last year. We've had companies like Cadbury Silk do a starting with mobile campaign with us. We've been able to amplify other campaigns that are going on, say with Pepsi and with Google. When there've been situations where a campaign needs some extra juice, we've been able to provide that for them. And it's also very exciting that we can, although traditionally measurement of mobile video has been quite challenging, we're finding that our carrier partners are being very positive about providing data on the traffic. And secondly, we're finding that the actual engagement of customers is very deep, to the point where they're responding very fast to post-video survey questions. So, for example, with Sonata watches, we tested very simple brand awareness. We tested whether people had heard of the brand, amongst some others, and the technology. And then at the end of the campaign, and it's all classic marketing 101, but it's playing out in what you would think was a very casual environment. But one of the biggest mistakes I made was to underestimate the engagement level of the consumer. Recently we put out a survey about, what the government should do about the women's rights in India, and we had 80,000 responses within 3 days, and that was just from the general Indian consumer. So that level of engagement, you can't necessarily measure in, bits and bytes, but you can in the kind of speed with which people respond.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you on pricing, but I had a question for Kedar. You've seen the landscape completely, fragmented. It's across the board. I mean, if you look at research companies, what are they doing really to really feed this information back as to what all these people are doing on various devices? How do you really put all of this together?
So what we're trying to do is identify how we can uniquely get the same person who's using different devices all together under the same platform. So we call it the multi-platform, which is currently live in the US in beta. The only way for us to recognize that is a person who's using the same IP within a household, where the digital TV is connected to the same IP. His iPad, his tablet, his phone, his laptop, PC, everything is connected to the same IP. We know that it's the same user consuming content across various devices. And that's a starting point for us to recognize their behavior and to recognize the performance of advertising to that user. So that's what we are trying to do. In India, surprisingly, compared to many other evolutionary stages of internet and mobile, this behavior has been much ahead of many other countries, and hence probably will bring the multi-platform to India much faster than many other countries, probably in Europe as well.
Okay, so I want to ask a very controversial question. You don't have to answer that. We've all heard about TAM, and everybody has a question on that. Having said that, and we won't comment on that, we all know what's happening there, and there's a concern about it. You control such a lot of money. How do you've seen the demographics changing, the devices taking over. How do you plan this kind of money?
Well, that's what I said, Neville. I don't think the industry research really captures what's actually going on. And also I think there's a huge leap of faith when it comes to TV, because at the end of the day, we're talking about 7,000 odd people meter really dictating a $2 billion
exactly.
advertising spend, right?
Yeah, so my question, Kedar, is there a way we can connect where you guys can play that big role, where you give a perspective? Because, like he said, there's $2 billion being decided based on 7,000,
Sure.
TAM meter rating. So, how do you see this changing over a period of time? Because then it's going to help all of them, right?
Yeah. So, we hold very large panels in all countries, and basis that we collect information. That's one point of data input for us to measure the total internet usage in India. At the same time, a lot of publishers carry our tags to give their census level information so that, the most transparent metric or data point is put out there. YouTube does that. A lot of other video publishers do that. So what we're trying to do all the time is give the advertiser the best data basis which they can make an insightful decision on spending their money.
Okay.
So to extend that thought, there has been a lot of queries and questions about the format of advertising on video compared to television. Now, in traditional television, it's usually a 30-second ad or a 60-second ad that runs in any country. Now, most of these ad formats or the way the creative is made is more like a story, which doesn't really work when it comes to video advertising on online TV, mobile, right? Because the short time span or attention span is much shorter. So what we've realized and what we've suggested, basis research, is that probably the most optimum length of an advertisement on video should be 15 seconds and not 60 seconds.
Okay, great, thanks.